There's a war happening inside you right now. But here's the thing, you can't hear it. No explosions, no screams, no dramatic confrontations. Just a quiet erosion of everything you could become, disguised as normal life. While you're busy fighting the obvious battles, the difficult boss, the traffic, the bills, there are invisible assassins working in the shadows of your mind. They're stealing your potential, one thought at a time, one relationship at a time, one mindless scroll at a time. And the most dangerous part? You've made peace with them. You've normalized the very things that are keeping you small, keeping you stuck, keeping you from the life that's waiting on the other side of your comfort zone. But what if I told you that the most powerful transformations happen not with grand gestures or public declarations, but in the quiet moments when you decide to stop tolerating what no longer serves you? What if the secret to reclaiming your power isn't about adding more to your life, but about removing the invisible chains you didn't even know were there? Today, we're going to expose these hidden enemies. We're going to talk about the 5 silent forces that are sabotaging your peace, your progress, and your potential. And more importantly, we're going to learn how to eliminate them, not with drama or announcements, but with the quiet strength of someone who has decided to rise. This isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming free. So before we dive in, I want you to ask yourself one question. What is the one thing you know deep down you need to let go of, but you keep holding on to because letting go feels too hard, too scary, or too unknown? Hold that thought. We'll come back to it. The first silent killer. Energy vampires disguised as friends. Let's start with the people in your life who only remember you exist when they need something. You know exactly who I'm talking about. That friend who goes radio silent for months, then suddenly appears with a crisis. The family member who never asks how you're doing, but always has a favor to request. The colleague who only reaches out when they need help with their workload. These people have trained you to be their unpaid therapist, their emotional dumping ground, their go-to problem solver. And you've accepted this role because you're kind, because you care, because you want to help. But here's what you need to understand. There's a difference between being supportive and being used. A real relationship is a two-way street. It's about mutual care, shared experiences, and genuine interest in each other's lives. It's not about one person constantly taking while the other constantly gives. I learned this lesson the hard way. I had a friend who would call me at all hours, venting about the same problems over and over again. I'd listen, offer advice, provide support. But when I was going through my own challenges, they were nowhere to be found. When I had good news to share, they seemed disinterested. When I needed a listening ear, they were suddenly too busy. One day, I simply stopped answering those calls. I didn't make a big announcement. I didn't send a long text explaining why. I just quietly stepped back. And you know what happened? They never even noticed I was gone until they needed something again. That's when it hit me. My value to them wasn't as a friend, it was a service provider. The ancient Stoics understood this principle. Marcus Aurelius wrote about surrounding yourself with people who elevate you, who challenge you to become better, who see your worth beyond what you can do for them. When you remove these energy vampires from your life, something magical happens. You suddenly have more time, more energy, more emotional bandwidth for the people who actually matter, the people who celebrate your wins, support you through your struggles, and love you for who you are, not what you can provide. This doesn't mean you become cold or uncaring. It means you become selective. You protect your energy like the precious resource it is. The second silent killer, the approval addiction. Here's a question that might make you uncomfortable. How many decisions in your life are actually yours? Think about it. How many times have you wanted to make a change in your career, your relationships, your habits, your lifestyle, but you stopped yourself because you were worried about what others would think? How many times have you stayed in situations that drained you because leaving would require explanations you weren't ready to give? How many times have you said yes when you wanted to say no, just to avoid disappointing someone? We live in a world where we feel obligated to justify every choice we make. We think we owe everyone an explanation for how we live our lives. We've become addicted to approval, and that addiction is costing us our authenticity. Let me tell you something that changed my life. You don't owe anyone an announcement when you're healing. When I decided to stop drinking, I didn't make a social media post about it. I didn't send out a newsletter. I didn't gather my friends and family for a big announcement. I just stopped. Some people were confused. Some were offended, as if my choice was somehow a judgment on their choices. Some pressured me to explain why, to justify my decision, to provide a detailed analysis of my reasons. But here's what I learned. The people who truly care about you will respect your choices even if they don't understand them. The people who demand explanations, who make your personal decisions about them, who can't accept your boundaries, those people are telling you everything you need to know about where you stand in their lives. Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Your life is not a democracy. Other people don't get to vote on your choices. You don't need a committee to approve your decisions. You don't need permission to become who you're meant to be. When you stop seeking approval for every move you make, you discover something incredible. You start making decisions based on your values, your goals, your vision for your life, rather than on other people's expectations. You start living your life instead of performing it. The third silent killer, mental junk food. Let's talk about what you're feeding your mind. Just like your body needs nutritious food to function properly, your mind needs quality input to think clearly, create effectively, and maintain peace. But most of us are consuming mental junk food all day long. Endless scrolling through social media, watching videos that entertain but don't educate, reading news that makes us anxious but doesn't make us informed, consuming content that's designed to grab our attention but not to improve our lives. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should never watch funny videos or scroll through memes. Entertainment has its place. But when entertainment becomes your primary mental diet, when you're consuming more junk than nourishment, you're training your brain to crave distraction instead of depth. Here's what happens when you fill your mind with low-quality content. You become anxious, scattered, and unable to focus. You lose the ability to think deeply, to create meaningfully, to connect authentically. You become addicted to the dopamine hit of constant stimulation, and real life starts to feel boring in comparison. I had to face this truth in my own life. I was spending hours every day consuming content that made me laugh, but didn't make me grow. I was addicted to the quick hit of entertainment, but I was starving my mind of the deeper nourishment it needed. So I made a quiet revolution. I didn't announce it to the world. I didn't make a big show of it. I just started being more intentional about what I allowed into my mental space. I unfollowed accounts that entertained but didn't educate. I stopped watching videos that made me laugh but left me feeling empty. I began choosing books over scrolling, podcasts over mindless content, conversations over consumption. The change was remarkable. My anxiety decreased, my creativity increased, my ability to focus improved, my conversations became more interesting, my thoughts became clearer. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Your thoughts create your reality. If you're feeding your mind junk, you're going to think junk thoughts. If you're nourishing your mind with quality content, you're going to think quality thoughts. The question isn't whether you should ever consume entertaining content. The question is, what's the ratio? Are you feeding your mind more junk than nourishment? Are you training your brain to crave distraction or to seek depth? The fourth silent killer, the disease to please. This one runs deep. It's the compulsive need to say yes to everything, to make everyone happy, to avoid conflict at all costs. On the surface, this seems like a good thing. You're helpful, agreeable, easy to get along with. People like you because you don't cause problems. You're the one everyone can count on. But here's the dark side of people-pleasing. When you say yes to everything, you're actually saying no to yourself. When you prioritize everyone else's needs over your own, you lose touch with what you actually want, what you actually need, what you actually value. People-pleasing isn't kindness, it's fear. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of disappointing others. And that fear is keeping you trapped in a life that's not truly yours. I used to be a chronic people pleaser. I said yes to every invitation, every favor, every request. I was exhausted, overwhelmed, and resentful. But I kept saying yes because I was afraid of what would happen if I said no. Then one day, I realized something. The people who truly care about me want me to be happy and healthy, not accommodating and exhausted. They would rather I say no honestly than yes resentfully. So I started practicing something radical. I started saying no, not with anger or long explanations, just a simple, honest no. Thanks for thinking of me, but I can't make it. I appreciate you asking, but I'm not available. That sounds great, but it's not a good fit for me right now. At first, it felt uncomfortable. I worried people would be upset, would think I was selfish, would stop asking me for things. But something amazing happened instead. The people who mattered respected my boundaries. They appreciated my honesty. They valued my time more because they knew I wasn't just saying yes by default. And the people who didn't respect my boundaries? They revealed themselves as people who were more interested in what I could do for them than in who I was as a person. Seneca wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." When you stop people-pleasing, you end the version of yourself that lives for others' approval. And you begin the version that lives for your own values, your own goals, your own authentic desires. The fifth silent killer, the prison of your own mind. This is the most insidious one because it comes from inside you. It's the voice in your head that tells you all the reasons why you can't, why you shouldn't, why you're not good enough. You're too old to start over. You don't have the right background. People like you don't do things like that. Who do you think you are to dream that big? This voice is not your friend. It's not protecting you. It's not keeping you safe. It's keeping you small. These limiting beliefs are like invisible chains. They're not real, but they feel real. They're not facts, but you treat them like facts. They're not permanent, but you act like they are. The truth is, most of our limiting beliefs aren't even ours. They're inherited. They're things we learned from our families, our schools, our communities. They're assumptions we made as children that we've never questioned as adults. When I started writing about philosophy and personal development, a friend asked me, "What makes you think you're qualified to teach people about this stuff? Are you even a real philosopher?" That question haunted me for weeks. It triggered every insecurity I had about not being good enough, not having the right credentials, not being the right kind of person to do what I was doing. But then I realized something. The person asking that question was living their own limited life. constrained by their own limiting beliefs. They couldn't imagine someone like me doing something like this because they couldn't imagine themselves doing it. Their question wasn't about me. It was about them. Nietzsche said, "Become who you are. Not who others think you should be, not who you think you're supposed to be, who you actually are, underneath all the limitations and expectations and fears." The most powerful thing you can do is to stop listening to that limiting voice and start acting in spite of it. You don't need to argue with it. You don't need to fight it. You just need to stop obeying it. Every time you act despite your limiting beliefs, you weaken their power over you. Every time you do something that voice says you can't do, you prove that voice wrong. And gradually, quietly, without anyone else even noticing, you become free. If you've made it this far, you're ready for the truth. The most powerful transformations happen in silence. You don't need to announce your growth. You don't need to explain your choices. You don't need permission to become who you're meant to be. You just need to start removing what no longer serves you. Remove the people who drain your energy without giving anything back. Remove the need to justify your choices to people who don't respect your boundaries. Remove the mental junk food that's clouding your thoughts and stealing your peace. Remove the compulsive need to please everyone except yourself. Remove the limiting beliefs that are keeping you trapped in a life that's smaller than your potential. This isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming free. It's about choosing quality over quantity in every area of your life. It's about protecting your energy like the precious resource it is. It's about remembering that you get to decide who you become. Here's what I want you to do. Choose one of these 5 silent killers that resonates most with you. Don't try to tackle all of them at once. Just pick one. Then, quietly, without fanfare or announcements, start removing it from your life. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because the person you're meant to become is waiting on the other side of your comfort zone. They're waiting for you to stop tolerating what's holding you back. They're waiting for you to choose yourself over others' expectations. They're waiting for you to start your own silent revolution. The question isn't whether you're ready. The question is, are you willing? If this message stirred something inside you, if you felt that quiet recognition of truth, then subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment sharing which of these 5 resonated most with you. And remember, true change happens not in the spotlight, but in the quiet moments when you decide to stop accepting less than you deserve. Your future self is counting on the choices you make today. Make them count.